Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. This is just my thoughts with Rob Markman. It's April 30th, 2025. Euphoria. A whole year later. Let's get into it, all right? We're just going to get right into it. 1 year ago, April 30th, and it's crazy that it's been a year, but 1 year ago on April 30th, Kendrick Lamar dropped Euphoria. And, I want to ask y'all the question. We'll start right off with a question. It's something a lot of y'all been saying in the comments, something a lot of people been saying. But is Euphoria the best diss track out of the whole battle? A lot of y'all believe that. We're just gonna take a look back at it, see how we feel about it a year later. Revisit it. Not that we stopped listening to it. We've been listening to it the whole year. But yeah, so a lot of folks will say yes. A lot of folks have been saying yes, this is the best diss track. So let's just go through it, man. So the order went like this. Like That on March 22nd. Of course, that came after First Person Shooter. But March 22nd was Like That, and that was the Kendrick Lamar verse that warranted a response. Like there was no way it wasn't going to go subliminal after that. You needed a response. Couldn't go ignored. Couldn't go unanswered. Motherfuck the big three. It's just Big Me. Was so, really spot on. Had to answer it. April 5th, Cole's 7-minute drill drop. We know what happened there. Cole walks the track back pretty abruptly. Push-Ups drops April 13th, but was officially released on Spotify April 19th. We spoke about that a couple of weeks back. Just talking about the start and stop of Push-Ups, the confusion of Push-Ups the leak versus what actually came out. Was this AI? Was this real? Was this intended? Was this a leak? Did Drake mean for this to get heard? Just, there was some confusion around Push-Ups. Taylor Made Freestyle also dropped April 19th. With the AI, and we know there the AI pop voice, the AI Snoop voice, and how people felt about that, and Pac's team asking Drake to take it down, and he did, pressuring him to take it down. Then between the 19th and the 30th, a lot of pressure, a lot of memes, a lot of oh, Kendrick don't got nothing. Tell that boy to drop. Day 17 with no response from Kendrick Lamar. There was a countdown clock going on what was happening there. And then April 30th, Euphoria was dropped, unannounced. Just the tweet to the link, and we just went off from there. Starts off with the reversed audio, the Richard Pryor reverse audio from The Wiz. Everything they say about me is true. I'm a phony. That was kind of the fun part too of when Euphoria dropped, is like, okay, where are all these references coming from? Again, Kendrick is known for that, right? Like, you better drop a quintuple entendre or something. But Kendrick is gonna put layers in his music, and he's gonna put meaning in his music and culture in his music. So it was fun, like hearing that backwards audio, like, yo, where's that from? Somebody identifying, oh, that's from The Wiz. You kind of play it backwards and run it backwards, and here we are. So it starts with the Richard Pryor thing, and then we get into the slow beat roll of the Teddy Pendergrass sample. You're my latest, my greatest inspiration. And it's funny looking back at it, because the whole thing comes off very calm. Really looking back on it, like the calm before the ugly storm of how ugly this thing got, right? Kendrick just really, those superpowers getting neutralized. I can only watch in silence. Famous actor we once know is paranoid, and now is spiraling. Just very calm. You're moving just like a degenerate. I can't even say the word. Every antic is feeling distasteful. I calculate you're not as calculated. I can even predict your angle. The spiraling part seems even more relevant after some of the post-battle moves, right? Things, at least, I would say, some people will call it spiraling. Some people won't. Things that, the lawsuit, things like that, things that I'm not a fan of, and I don't believe is right. And then, but really the I could even predict your angle. Goes back to what I said. If you've been watching these videos and following these videos, I said it in my push-up video. A year later, looking back at push-ups, Dot just seemed to have the better strategy and an answer to everything that Drake threw at him. So makes, looking back at it now, that I can even predict your angle line, is like, damn, that it really feels like that was the type of time that he was on. That he really kind of studied and was really well prepared for whatever Drake was going to throw at him. We really saw that the night of Family Matters and Meet the Grams. And maybe we'll talk about that a year later because that was a significant night. But there's no way Dot did Meet the Grams in 37 minutes as a response, all four verses, as a response to Family Matters. So he was likely prepared that Drake may once again go at Whitney and Kendrick's family. And like Drake telegraphed in push-ups. And Dot was prepared. So yeah, I can even predict your angle. Like looking back at it and seeing how everything played out, it was like word. And he goes, right, fabricating stories on the family front because you heard Mr. Morale. So that's exactly what he's talking about. A pathetic master manipulator. I can smell the tails on you now. And who knew that the family stuff, Drake's read on Mr. Morale will continue happening even later. Remember, Drake's Heart 6, where Drake took the Mother I Sober angle and really misread what the song was about. So fabricating stories on the family front because you heard Mr. Morale. Even Kendrick is telling him early on in this battle, like, you're reading it wrong. Yeah, you heard my album, but you're reading it wrong. Or no matter how Drake was reading it, but really what it is, you heard my album and that angle is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? I make music that electrify him. You make music that pacify him. I could double down on that line, but spare you this time. That's random acts of kindness. Pacify him. Again, very likely some foreshadowing with this line. We know how that ended up. And then, know you're a master manipulator and a habitual liar too. Don't tell no lie about me. And I won't tell truths about you. Again, very strategic, very calm. But, it's the setup. Everything you're saying is a lie. What I'm about to reveal is the truth. Calm it down. And I won't take it there. I believe there's some truth to that and what Kendrick believes and what Kendrick is saying. But it's also like a good strategy because it's, it's almost like, and it kind of backfired on Jay. But in the Takeover versus Ether and Takeover when Jay says, you know what with you know who, but we'll keep that between me and you. Nas knew what he was talking about. At the time, we didn't really know that Jay at that time had an affair with Nas's baby mother. But it's kind of this warning and this foreshadowing and it's good strategy. You know what I'm saying? So, the calmness before the storm, again, is kind of a warning. Kendrick is signaling the truth or no matter what side you stay on, right? I'll keep in the middle, the truth or the perceived truth and Meet the Grams and Not Like Us. Key word is perceived before some of y'all crash out and say, oh, it wasn't the truth. He lied. Da, 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 da. Not here to debate that with y'all. We're past that. The truth or the perceived truth. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it is, those songs stuck. So, and I've said it plenty of times from the beginning, just in case some of y'all are kind of new to just me speaking about this or don't have the context of what I said before. This is a rap battle. Not Like Us is a great song. I don't for 1 minute believe that Drake is a pedophile. And I never met anyone off the internet in real life who has believed that wholeheartedly. So, all right. So then you get the beat change and the record, the energy and the rapping begins and the energy just turns up, right? Shout to Soundwave. Shout to Cardo. Shout to Cairo. Johnny Giuliano. Young Exclusive. All collaborating on the beat. So Hellcat made his homeboys and them types of they solo, okay? Everybody want to be a demon till they get chipped by a throwaway. And I might do a show a day. You know what I'm saying? I thought the end I might do a show a day part was funny because here we are once again a year later. Where's Kendrick Lamar? He is on the GNX tour doing a show a day. Not literally, that there are some breaks in between each show. So he's not doing a show every single day, but I might do a show a day. I think that's just funny. And no, I don't think Dot foresaw being on the stadium tour a year to the date of the song. Like, I think it just worked out that way. We attribute a lot of things to Kendrick, 3, 4, 5, 6 meanings to every song and every line. I don't think this is one of them. I think this is a funny coincidence. And I might do a show a day a year later while he's on tour. That made me laugh. His daddy a killer, he want to be Junior. They must have forgot the shit that they done. Dementia must run in his family, but let it get shaky. I'll park his son. That line still fire to me. Just the wordplay, though, I'm going to honestly admit, and I admitted this the first time, I don't know exactly who he's talking about. I didn't pretend to know when it dropped either. A lot of people say Jay Prince and his son. Some say Birdman. I truly don't know. Some people say Dennis Graham, Drake's father, and then Drake. I'm not exactly sure, me personally. But a dope line, dope wordplay. What is it? The braids? Still hilarious. Like, still funny. I still hear that in my head. There's times when I just hit, what is it? The braids? Still hilarious looking back on it. That holds up. And we get further into the thing. We ain't got to get personal. This is a friendly fade. You should keep it that way. I know some shit about that make Gunna want to look like a saint. This ain't about the critics, not about gimmicks, not about who the greatest. It's always been about love and hate. Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. The friendly fade part, still so important. And I've been talking about this. And as we kind of unravel, there'll be plenty of content on this. I don't know if either of them will do an interview about what really happened behind the scenes, and maybe even if that comes years later or some type of documentary. But the friendly fade part, I'm super interested in. And I've been speaking about this. I had told y'all from the beginning that there was some communication between the two. A very clear message was sent, whether it was a direct phone call or a direct text message or what it was. I'm not exactly sure the mode of how it happened, but there was a direct message sent. There was direct communication back and forth after push-ups to keep the families out of it, to keep it a friendly fade, to keep it about rap. But after Family Matters and the DV accusations and the Dave Free accusations, then you got Meet the Grams and you got Not Like Us. Remember at the beginning, I could predict your angles. We talked about this before. And remember, on Not Like Us, how many stocks do I really have in stock? I believe, and you could disagree, this is just what I believe that Kendrick had a number of different songs or song ideas or skeletons to where he could respond depending on how Drake moved. I predict your angles relates to me to how many stocks does he really have in stock. I think Kendrick was prepared, maybe even over prepared for it, because I do believe there were other songs or ideas that never came out. And I think there were different concepts, different angles, different things based off of, okay, if he goes this way, I'm going to go this way. If he goes this way, I'm going to respond with this. So, I think it just speaks to the strategy of Kendrick, the preparedness of Kendrick. Okay, he go, I'm just skipping through. I'm not going every line, but I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough. You going to bring back Puff. Let me see if Chubbs really crashed some. Yeah, my first one, like my last one, it's a classic. You don't have one. Let your core audience stomach that, then tell them where you get your abs from. B12 is a fast one. Blah, blah, last one. Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like him where when he has to. First of all, that whole thing is just good, great rapping, right? Like, holds up, man. He is gassing up. But I like Drake with the melodies. Look at where we at a year later. Again, who really predicts this? But Nokia. Nokia is the big record from Drake. I've said this before. Nokia is a hit record. Nokia is a hit record. You see it on the chart. Not number one, didn't hit the number one. And I firmly believe, and I said this before, like, a lot of hit records didn't hit number one, still a hit record. Nokia is a hit record. Drake with the melodies. Exactly a year later to this, where are we at? We're at Drake with the melodies, doing the things that he's done best and traditionally has worked for him. You know what I'm saying? So I think Nokia is a great move on his part. And so I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he acts tough. Headshot of the year, you better walk around like Daft Punk, just clever. Again, a year later, but again, that holy shit, that line held up. Headshot. Lyrically speaking, of course. The other thing in this, you can see Kendrick, he sent out a lot of different angles, a lot of different things, and certain things stuck for whatever reason, right? This didn't stick as much, but this was one. Let your core audience, my first one, like my last one, is a classic. You don't have one. All right. I do believe Drake has classics. I've said this before. Let your core audience stomach that. then tell them where you got your abs from. Just the wordplay. Goes back to the stories about Drake getting the surgery, the liposuction or the ab reconstruction surgery or something like that. So that's a little line. That's a dope line. But that angle didn't necessarily stick. It's not like Kendrick kept pulling on that thread. You know what I'm saying? So I say there was a lot of shots thrown out, and then you find the ones that stick or the ones that hurt the most, or really the ones that resonate with the audience the most. And then you start pulling on that thread, let your core audience stomach that. Tell them where you got your abs from. That was the same thing Pusha T was talking about when he said, "Oh, it's about to be a surgical summer." We just didn't get that lyrically. We didn't get that story. Joe Budden had rapped about it, about Drake's supposed surgery and some of the diss songs that Joe Budden dropped years ago. So it's always been the thing that's out there. Kendrick throws it out there, makes it a dope line, not necessarily his main angle. I wonder if people react to that more, or if that becomes a thing more in the next couple of songs. Does Kendrick pull at that thread? But threw it out there. Great strategy, great line. But what I'm just saying is Kendrick threw a lot of angles out there, and certain ones stuck, and then he kind of elaborated it on future tracks, which is interesting. And then we get to the beat switch, right? A Top Dog, who the fuck they think they playing with? Extortion, my middle name, as soon as you jump off that plane, bitch. Push-ups was an interesting angle. Again, when we talk about angles, push-ups was an interesting angle. That Top had Kendrick in some type of unfair deal with some unfair splits, especially because it had seemed like after Kendrick chose not to resign with TDE and started PG Lang instead, it seemed like they weren't close as they once were, Top and Dot. And there was certainly speculation and I guess people just didn't know. And in that unknowing, in that ambiguity about what the relationship is, Drake took really an interesting angle. It just kind of didn't work out that way. Again, he pulled at a thread and, it was just like nothing there. Okay, yeah, Top is extorting you. The relationship is fucked up. But Kendrick comes back, hey, Top, who the fuck they think they playing with? Extortion, my middle name, soon as they jump off that plane, bitch. And then we start to see, TDE and PG Lang are together. Kendrick and TDE are solid. Oh, Punch is still in the mix. Oh, the pop out. Oh, yeah, Ab Soul is there. Schoolboy Q is there. J-Rock is there. The video, for Not Like Us, when they're all standing there together, like, oh, okay, they still good. They still solid. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they were playing possum a little bit. I wonder. But, Drake pulled on the thread. It didn't work. And throughout this battle, one of the beautiful things, not related, I spoke about this yesterday, is that we see Kendrick branches off to PG Lang and does his own thing. And TDE's still in the mix. They're still doing business. SZA's co-headlining the tour with him. It's pretty dope. It's cool to see. Outside of the battle, it is cool to see that Kendrick graduated on doing business, and him and Top are still cool. Him and TDE are still cool, because a lot of times you don't see that in the business. So that's dope. Surprised you wanted that feature request. You know that we got some shit to address. Feature request, I believe firmly that Dot was asked to be on First Person Shooter specifically. I don't know that for sure. That's what I believe. But before the whole beef jumped off in January of 2024, and I feel like I spoke about this before, I was told by someone from one of those three camps, somebody who is in the know from one of those three camps, somebody who is a major player in one of the Drake, Kendrick, Cole camps. I was told by one person from one of the three camps. I won't say who. I won't say from which camp. But I was told that there was an attempt to get all three on one song. And I wasn't told which song it was. But I believe it was First Person Shooter. Still love when you see success. Everything with me is blessed. Keep making me dance, waving my hands, and it won't be no threat. I'm knowing they call you the boy, but where's the man? Because I ain't see him yet. Matter of fact, I ain't even bleed him yet. Can I bleed him? Bet. Again, what's the big Drake song now? Nokia. Keep making me dance and waving my hands. Won't be no threat. It's just interesting where things are a year later. And again, Nokia is absolutely the right move. I don't think, Kendrick just kind of predicted it. Just like, yo, stay in that lane. This lane over here, where we kind of rap and take things like very seriously, don't come here. Stay in that lane over there. You know, the street shit, the menacing shit, stay in that lane over there and everything's going to be cool. You know, this is just Kendrick speaking from his perspective. Then the bleed him yet, can I bleed him bet? Kendrick's energy changes again. And he was right. Euphoria, I mean, when we heard Euphoria, it was like, oh man, this is crazy. But matter of fact, I ain't even bleed him yet. You know, the thing gets worse. You know, let's speak on percentages. Show me your splits. I'll make sure I double back with you. You were signed to what? That signed to her, and he was signed to that. And, you know what I'm saying? Again, a year later, and who would have predicted this? It's just funny how it plays out. A year later, we have this lawsuit. And Drake versus UMG, and part of the discovery is a request to see Kendrick's contracts. No one could have predicted this, but it's funny where we are now a year later. Let's speak on percentages. You know, whether or not he actually gets access to those contracts, whether or not the public gets privy to that information, we don't know yet. But it's just so funny. Let's speak on percentages. Show me your splits. I'll make sure I double back with you. Now we have this lawsuit. Why would I call around and trying to get dirt on him? You think my life is rap? That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that. Waking him up, know nothing about that. And then that whole scheme. Tell him to pray, know nothing about that. Here it is, and I spoke about this before. Kendrick coming at Drake as a father. And really just on some, really what that line is, hey, this is the difference between you and I. You out here trying to get dirt. I'm at home raising my kids. Were these the bars that made Drake decide to do Family Matters? Again, I don't know how Drake took these bars. Technically, these bars are about Drake. They're not about his son. Drake's son doesn't get mentioned in here. But a question that I have is, did Drake agree in his mind to keep it a friendly fade? What I don't know is, when it was suggested, hey, let's keep this a friendly fade, I don't know what the response was. All right, cool, man. We're going to keep it just rap. Hey, man, fuck you. Fuck out of here. I'm gonna say what I want. I don't know what the response was. Did he agree? And then did he switch? Did he change his mind? If so, what made him change his mind? Or maybe he never agreed. I don't know. That's the part we don't know. You know, was Drake going to go full steam with the Whitney angle and the Dave Free angle no matter what? But, you know, this is when you start, when you talk about Family Matters, I mean, this is Drake telling you, I'm a family man. This is what's important to me. And this might be why Drake thought Family Matters would be so damaging. Kendrick is setting himself up to be, I'm with my kids, putting them to bed every night, teaching them how to be a man. And then the picture that Drake tries to paint on Family Matters is like, nah, that ain't you. This really you. Angles. Didn't work though. Didn't stick. Okay. Am I battling Ghost of AI? I'm feeling like Joel Osteen. Funny he was in a film called AI and my sixth sense telling me to off him. This line is still funny to me. Still hilarious because the actor is Haley Joel Osment, who was in The Sixth Sense. On the Genius annotation, on the Genius side, I looked it up and it says that Kendrick has purposely confused him with Joel Osteen, the evangelist, right? The TV evangelist, because Kendrick sets up the line with confusion and he says, am I battling a ghost or AI? Is it a ghost or is it AI? And Kendrick isn't sure. So then with the next line, he purposely messed up the name Joel Osteen. I don't know. That's a little far-fetched to me. I just think in the speed of getting this out, it sounded good and maybe the facts was off. That's just what I believe, but I don't know. I mean, the guy is super intentional. We rarely see him make mistakes like that or misspeak like that. But shit happens in the studio, and we've seen plenty of rappers do it. I can go down a list of things that Jay said. My 38 revolved like the sun round the earth is a Jay-Z line. You know what I'm saying? The sun doesn't revolve around the earth revolves around the sun. You know what I'm saying? Like, or Nelly, I'm a sucker for cornrows and manicured toes. You get pedicures on your toes. You get manicures on your hands. So again, when you're just in the studio and you're rapping, sometimes there's poetic leeway, just like, hey, this just sounds good. I don't know. Kendrick is super intentional. So maybe there's some intention here. I don't know. But this line is still funny to me. But also look at how the line foreshadows like Not Like Us, because that started with I see dead people, and that's the line that Haley Joel Osment said in The Sixth Sense. So then we get into the don't speak on the family, Crody. If you get deep in the family, Crody. Talk about me and my family, Crody. Someone gonna bleed in your family, Crody. I be at New Whole King eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody. Y'all seen this? Y'all seen this? Nah, this fire. I haven't worn this shirt yet. I definitely copped this shirt. I have not worn this shirt yet. It says Not Like Us. That's the fried rice. Crazy, man. Crazy. That part was funny, man. That part was funny, and it was fire. The New Whole King part, of course, if we look back, remember New Whole King started getting business. People started making like pilgrimages to the restaurant. It was a good line. It was a good angle. And again, but the whole thing about New Whole King was that Drake was allegedly robbed there years and years and years ago. Again, another angle that Kendrick picks at, but doesn't quite continue to pull the thread on it. That's not like his main angle again. So the disses are coming fast and furious, but it's funny to see what was the ones that stick, which were the ones that got expounded on, which ones were the ones that got blown up into something bigger. Whoever's fucking with him, fuck you, and fuck the industry too. If you take it there, I'm taking it further. That's some shit you don't want to do. Again, more foreshadowing. Listen back to this a year later. And for the record, again, never stop listening to it. But listening back a year later, is this the best song out the battle? To me, it's the best raps. It's the strongest raps. Absolutely. I can say that. The best rapping. Not Like Us, to me, overall, is still the best song to me because it's so ubiquitous. But it isn't just the pop nature, it's the pop nature of it. And when I say pop, the popular nature of it. And the rapping, because it's still skill level. It's not like it's not as dense as Euphoria lyrically, but it's not dumbed down by any. There's still like high level rapping on Not Like Us. So Not Like Us being the song where he combined his rapping ability with the catchiness, the stickiness, and just what that song has become. I stand by it, and I don't always believe the most popular song is the best song. I'm not that guy, but in this case, Not Like Us is the best song. Euphoria is the best rapping. And that's how I believe. That's what I believe. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. And to the next one. All right, peace.